Merry Christmas, you beautiful people. Hope you're all having a fantastic time with your family, your friends, and of course, watching Die Hard because yes, it is a Christmas film. Now, let's talk about Newcastle on Boxing Day, eh? United are going to be without Ahmad, Mbeumo, Bruno, Mazraoui, Mainoo, probably Ligt Maguire too. Who knows starts? How does Amorim win up against a Newcastle team that are going to be bang up for it with a massively physical midfield in Bruno and Tonali? Let's run through all the team news, predictions, tactics, and more. Well then, Merry Christmas everybody. I found the hilarious jumper that I could find. I'm sure you're wearing yours. I hope you're enjoying yourself, watching some Christmas movies, eating some good food, and having a cracking Christmas day. Shall we talk about the game on Boxing Day? Of course, the only game that is on Boxing Day, United against Newcastle at Old Trafford. It's going to be a hell of a game. You know it. I'm worried about it. I was worried about Villa, and we ended up losing that game. I'm worried about this Newcastle game. I'll give you my prediction towards the end. You can let me know your predictions in the comments now. Let's run through all the team news from the press conference and I think the key talking points from this game because it's going to be a tough one. First things first, we know we're without so many bloody players. Bruno's injured, Mainoo's injured, Licht's injured, Maguire's injured. Ahmad and Mbeumo and Mazraoui are all unavailable because of AFCON. Casemiro's returning. That's one good thing. But Bruno and Kobe are both out. How do you replace Bruno? You don't replace Bruno. It's impossible to replace Bruno. But United are going to have to figure out how to create. And I'll be honest, in the second half against Villa, we actually just played quite well in a system I didn't expect us to do. Can we use that system again against Newcastle? I think we might have to. He also reserved some comments for Lacey and Fletcher. He said he's been really impressed by them, and both of them made their debut for United against Villa, and both of them could get an opportunity against Newcastle. A Newcastle team, by the way, look, I knew that Newcastle, obviously the game against Chelsea last week, where they were 2-0 up at half-time and they drew 2-2. 2 points dropped. But they have been dropping points from winning positions quite often. You know that Spider-Man meme? Like that, two Spider-Men pointing at each other. United have done that so many times, whether it's Forest, whether it's Spurs, Bournemouth. 3 times against Bournemouth we were in winning positions. But let's look at the teams and let's run through the teams. Okay, this is the starting 11 from United's game against Villa and their game against Chelsea. Now, there's going to be some obvious changes. Maybe less obvious. Well, one obvious one. Ugate's not starting this game. End of story. I just don't need to have a conversation about it. Now, Fernandes, obviously, he's not even on the bench. Who comes in there? In terms of defence, I'll be honest. Well done, Aiden Heaven. From the West Ham game to, 4 consecutive starts. Now, he'll start this game again. And I thought he was actually probably our best defender against Villa. Certainly better than Yoro. Will he drop Yoro? I think that's it's a question you could ask. Because he has taken him out of the spotlight. So, but it was in that game, for example, against West Ham, where he was taken out of the spotlight after what happened the week before, but then came on at half-time after Aiden Heaven got a yellow card and had a little bit of a reckless first half. Newcastle are going to be hella dangerous with these two players. In fact, their front three, it just works for them. It's quite, dare I say, old school? I don't know the right way to describe it. 2 rapid wide men and 1 absolute monster of a bloke in the middle. So if Heaven does play, he's going to have to play against an informed Voltemade. Even scoring in his own goal. Mate, Newcastle were pup against Sunderland. But very good. They're capable of being great and then awful another week. Like they're kind of an inconsistent team. But the thing I'm worried about, Well, first of all, should we get who's going to replace Bruno in midfield? I think is the first. Is it the first question? I'm not really sure. I think I'm probably. I suppose you've got your 2 options, right? What do you think? You could get Martinez to come in there. Right, let's start with Martinez, because I know quite a few of you will think, look, Martinez did play well against Villa, by the way, but was given a hell of a lot of time because Villa weren't pressing on the number 6. I don't see. I think Ramsey, he's been playing all right for Newcastle, but I think Eddie Howe will be an absolute fool if he doesn't make that the midfield 3 of Newcastle. Tonali, Guimaraes, and Joelinton. It's the midfield I least like playing against in the Premier League. So ridiculously physical. And Newcastle know that's pretty much the premise of whether they win or not at Old Trafford on Boxing Day. If they come with that midfield 3, and they play to the best of their ability, we're not going to be able to compete. Even if we had all of our midfield fit and ready, let alone if our midfield might comprise of Casemiro and Martinez, which I don't think will happen. I think you're probably more likely to see Mason Mount drop into that position. But then what happens? Who do you play going forward? Do you bring Xerxes in place of Mount? I actually think if right now it kind of is Mount the most important player in that attack? Like Cunha obviously has got 2 goals in his last couple of games, but it feels like the pressing shape of United and just the intensity of how we've been playing, I think Mason Mount's been pretty critical to that. But in terms of in the squad, the player who could probably replicate at least part of what Bruno does, I would say Mason Mount seems the more natural fit. But then you're playing Xerxes going forward. I don't think Xerxes been that good, man. Am I going to switch anything else in the back 5? Dorgu and Delo. You could bring Lacey. I think you're probably looking at that. It's either that or Ruben Amorim backs Martinez to handle this. Martinez and Casemiro against a midfield 3 of Guimaraes, Tonali and Joelinton, just on paper when you say that. But even a midfield duo of Casemiro and Mount up against a midfield trio of those. I think you're going to have to see United kind of do what we did against Villa, which is kind of where Mount ended up dropping quite central. Šeško moved across and then Cunha pushed up. And we kind of played with two up top. It felt like it suited, it worked better. Whether that's actually physically like a 4-3, like not a 4-3-3, a 3-5-2 on paper, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But I think if we don't do that and we don't bring it, so maybe that's why Mount will stay there and Martinez would actually be a midfield 3 with Šeško and Cunha playing further up. Kind of the more you look at that, the more that makes sense. I think if United don't match Newcastle's 3 in midfield, we're screwed in this game. They're just going to overpower us. But I thought that against Villa, and they didn't. So United surprised me. That's probably my starting 11. I think I've changed my mind. I'm going to go Martinez in there and bring Mount in to make a midfield 3 rather than looking at who can just directly replace Bruno in a 2. Honestly, my prediction for this game is 2-2. I think there's goals in both teams. No way do we keep a clean sheet in this game. I'd love it to be 2-1 United, but my prediction's going to be 2-2. You can let me know yours. That's the change. What change have I got? I've got Martinez starting and Casemiro back in. Is it just Martinez and Casemiro for Bruno and Ugarte? I think that's the only changes I've made. You let me know yours in the comments. As I said, I hope you have a fantastic Christmas day. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you after we win against Newcastle Boxing Day. Maybe, maybe not. My prediction's 2-2. Hope I'm wrong.